these are the order of the presentation. The African giant rats are mostly found in the tropical and the subtropical parts of Africa. And we have two common breeds that we can get in Africa. That is the Chrysotobis gambianus and Chrysotobis mini. The gambianus one is the one with the broad snouted face, and the mini one is the one with the narrow snouted face. But the gambianus is the most common in Africa. Even though all of them, but this one dominates more. The African giant rat is omnivorous. That is, it takes this grass, it takes these grains, it equally takes these termites, and sometimes these smaller animals like snails. It is nocturnal. That is, it's always active during the night. Then you see the fur, it has slimy, the fur is slimy gray coat, it has slimy gray coat, and it's having a very long tail, with the tip being white, with the belly side or the ventral part of it being white. These animals equally also have this, they have something called cheek pouches. And mostly they gather as much as they can into these pouches in order to be able to send them to their burrows and hide some. That is their hoarding behavior. So that's their hoarding behavior. They try to hide some of them in case, mostly they also envisage that in the near future there can equally also be some shortage of food, so that they will now rely on it in their house. Mostly they live solitary. If you go to the wild, if you look at the burrows, sometimes you see these animals, you see that the males may live alone, and you see the mother and the young ones living together. And they are clean animals, they don't like dirt. Sexual dimorphism, most people normally consider both the males and the females together when they are setting their experimental units, their experiments. And mostly they do not consider these sex. So mostly if you come out, you may have an effect if you don't consider if you don't consider them separately. So by go ahead. Now with the problem statement, if you go to the rural communities, most of our farmers, our poor farmers rely on this as their delicacy. And because of their inability sometimes to even read and write, and their inability to read and write, and sometimes not having the money to even purchase these electronic skills, they are being cheated by these middlemen when they come in for them. Because if you look at when we went to Kumasi, some of their farmers they now have an association that they have this giant rat association that most of them are now raising these animals. So because of that, we are trying to see if we can equally get other economic important traits that will help our farmers, since they cannot read and write, so that they will use that one to be able to predict the body weight and equally get good price or good market for the animals. Body shapes equally, when known objectively, equally helps in these selection criteria to help you to be able to select these young ones at the early stage. Even rank at the early stage, you can rank them. You can look into the future by ranking them, by telling that yes, these ones that are having this tail or this head size will be able to grow up to this level at the early stage. So the main objectives, our main objectives is to study. The main objectives of the study was to analyze sexual dimorphism in body weight and morphometry of the African giant rat. And these are our specific objectives will be to determine the sex effect for body weight, and also to determine the sex effects on the morphometry, and to estimate the phenotypic correlation between the body weight and the morphometry. The study was carried in the school farm, that is the African giant rat grassroots, which is recently established by our supervisor, In the Akentan Apia University of Skills Training and Entrepreneurial Development, Mampon Ashanti campus. The period of this experiment is started in June 2022 and I ended in this February 5th, 2023. The municipality likes the experimental animals. We obtained 30 African giant rats, and we had 10 bucks, that is the male, and we also had 20 of the females. Source of the experimental animals. The experimental animals for the study were purchased from various farmers and hunters within Greater Accra and Ashanti region. As I said, we obtained some from the Ashanti, Kumasi, Mofa, and we also had some from Accra. And the rest we had some also from this Kampong area. The experimental design, we are going to look at two treatments that is going to be based on the male and the female. And we are going to replicate them 10 times, and we are going to do comparison of two samples by using the independent t-test. The housing. We use a 3-tier wooden structure of which we use a galvanized wire mesh. If you look at every cell, we use 2 millimeter diameter of this wire mesh to separate these individual animals that were in the cells. And if we look at the door, we also equally use this wire mesh around in such a way that it will reduce the normal behavior of these animals. If we look at the cage, the roof of the cage, we use this corrugated iron sheet so as to make cleaning and drainage of this waste easy. This hatch was equally also placed in the room. And some of the reason is that to be able to get shade. You know, these animals, because of their low fat content, sometimes when exposed to these temperatures, it becomes a problem. They can easily die when exposed to these high temperatures. Now, the feeding. We use concrete troughs and we use the clay.
Thank you for how many minutes?
We use the concrete troughs and the clay-like troughs to feed our animals. Some of the basal diet these animals can feed on is the maize. They feed on cassava. They equally feed on these granules and even dawa. But for us, we were feeding our animals with cassava and these maize as basal diet, and we supplemented it with these panicum, the eating grass. Now the health, the troughs, the feed and the water troughs were cleaned regularly, and our animals were dewormed. If you look at these animals, mostly they are always infected by a lot of these parasites in their gastrointestinal system. So most often it's very good you deworm them in order to, otherwise they can even die if you don't deworm these animals, because they have that their gastrointestinal organs are able to pick these parasites very fast. Now the parameters measured, we measured the body weight, the morphometry. The morphometry, we're looking at the body length, we look at the tail length, the head length, the heart length, the height as well as the neck circumference. The body weight, the distance was taken from the tip of the nose to the base of the tail. So if you look at this, you see that the distance, the body length is the one represented by VL, it was taken from the tip of the nose to the base of the tail. And you equally have the head length, which was also taken from the nose, the tip of the nose to the seventh cervical vertebra. And if you look at the tail length, also at the base to the tip of the tail, that is the tail length, and the heart base was the circumference, or the chest circumference. The neck circumference was also taken around, that is the measurement around the neck, and the height at width is the distance from the platform or the ground to the high dorsal points of the winner. So you can see how these things were taken. This one, if you look at this one, this is when it was 2 months old. At that point, when it became 3 months old, this one, and when it became 5 months old, that's it. So that was how we took some of these morphometrics of these animals. So this is how we also look at we also took the body weight measurements. So we use this metallic gauge that is to restrict its movement in such a way that we'll be able to get precision in terms of the weight values. The statistical analysis. The data obtained will be subjected to the statistical analysis system. First of all, we look at the descriptive statistics. That's what we look at the mean, the standard deviations, and we also look at the covariance. And from this, we'll be able to look at the person correlation between the body weights and the linear body measurements within each sex. That is both the male and the female. So with the male, you look at the correlations between the morphometrics and the body weights, and the female to look at the correlations of the morphometric and the body weights. We now also develop models, and the models that we are going to the regression analysis will help us to develop these models. And the models we are going to have the single and the multiple models. The statistical tool that we are going to also use there is we are going to look at the pathway. The pathway will also help us to also know the direct and the indirect relation between the morphometrics and the body weights. So the direct one will be, can we get a parameter of the morphometrics or the independent variables that will be able, when we look at the independent variable, we'll be able to tell that yes, this body weight will have a high number. Works have been done on the grass cutter, especially Professor Amon. He realized that the hind limb of the grass cutter was having a direct, it became a direct predictor for these body weights. Immediately the hind limbs is if you get high number for the hind limbs, then automatically it tells you that the body weight will equally be high. Now the coefficient of determination, this one will help us to know, after getting all these models, it will also help us to be able to tell the one that is best fit. Which one will, at least it will rank them, which one will give us higher positions and like that. So that's how the rankings will be. Now these are the regression models that we look at, the single regression models. And that's what is the dependence and the plus the interception plus the coefficients, regression coefficient, plus the morphometrics. Those X indicates the morphometric variables. So and the E is a random error. An error that we can avoid. And we also have the multiple regression also be in this form. Now, we are done collecting the data, but yet to be analyzed. Now, the challenges encountered so far is difficult in restraining these animals alone, particularly when taking morphometric, because you're supposed to be about 4, or the least you can even do is 3, because the way they have to restrict such a way that one person can even do
10 seconds.
And the difficulties in obtaining these experimental animals, since only few farmers have them in captivity, and high cost of the life age here, that is the African giant squid. Now, this is where we started constructing these cages, and you see that some of our animals are tamed. At first, it will be difficult for you to see this animal handling. Now, these were some of the massive farmers, the right association farmers. And these were some of the cages for transportation that we normally pick them from the farms. Thank you very much.
All right.